US to come and do the training. And during the training, he showed us an application that IBM had built. Remember, this was 2018 fall, an application IBM had built where you could build data models and AI models without a single line of code. Without a single line of code. And I remember going back to my students, and I told them, I said, you guys are all in trouble. Because in the future, I said, the future, there's going to be AI applications and agents that can write programming languages. And so we had to change what we were teaching them. We had to shift from a sole focus on programming to teaching other skills that will be relevant to their career progression. And so in 2019, the former CEO of IBM, Ginny Rometty, made a statement in 2019 of January. I remember reading that statement, and most folks overlooked what she was saying, but I took it very serious. And she said, because of AI, every single job will be different. This was in January of 2019. Now, remember, I had seen some of the stuff they are working on behind the scenes in the fall of 2018. So this statement did not surprise me because I knew that she saw something, she knew something was coming. And I completely agree with her that no matter what job you have today, because of AI, every single job will be different. I give you an example. I was having a chat with one of my former colleagues, a dean at the college, and she was talking about a friend, a computer programmer, finished from one of the top schools in Canada, and is finding it difficult to find a job. And I started asking her some questions. I said, okay, so what are you guys teaching these folks in computer programming? And she said, well, and I told her, I said, in my company, every now and then we run into issues with the code or stuff like that. I said, and what I do, I go to my AI and I plug in the code and I say, okay, what's wrong with this code? What am I missing? And I said 9.5 out of 10 times, it will tell me exactly what's wrong with the code, what needs to change. And when I implement it, it works. So I told her, I said, think about a scenario where if in the past I needed to hire 7 or 8 programmers in my company, guess what? Right now, I don't need to hire a team of 8 programmers. Maybe I need to do 1 or 2, and they have the AI working with them, and they can continue to build stuff for my organization. 2 weeks ago, I think it was Google that came out and said that 25% of their codes are now being generated by AI. Okay, now this is interesting because many years ago, computer programming was seen as the most protected career path. I mean, you start seeing all these non-for-profits coming up, programming, coding. Let's teach kids how to code, girls how to code. I mean, coding became the sexy language of education. Coding. But today, I tell folks, if all you're learning is coding, you're in trouble, big trouble. You got to learn something else in addition to that skill. And so, coming back to what Ginny said, every single job will be different because of AI. And in short, right now, I tell folks that it's not AI that's going to replace folks. It's the folks that know how to use AI that will start replacing the folks that do not know how to use AI to do their jobs better, faster, more efficiently, and of a higher quality. Okay, so let's take a look at this example. Let's assume that, here's my headshot. Let's assume that I gave an assignment and said, take this headshot and create 3 outputs. 1, a cartoon character, using 2, a 3D character, and number 3, a picture with a lion behind this individual. And I give that to you. Question is, how long will it take you to complete this assignment? Or how long will it take me? Well, I hate drawing. I hate drawing. When I was in university at Ife, one of my worst courses was technical drawing. I'm very bad at drawing. I couldn't draw to save my life. And so this would take me maybe weeks or months to do. But some of you may have heard about an application called Midjourney. This took me less than 5 minutes in Midjourney to create. And so here you have, right hand, the 3D animation. So I put this picture in Midjourney. I say, hey, create for me these 3 things. I want a cartoon character, a 3D character, and a picture of a lion behind me. And so this was the output, 3D character, cartoon character. Some of these folks don't really look like me, but I love the picture with the lion behind me. It really looks cool. And so think about someone who is being trained as a graphic artist. Think about the fact that I can create images that look almost real, that I can use in work, in digital content creation. Think about what this means for that industry. And so again, back to what Ginny said, AI will change every single job. I've been saying this for almost a decade. Folks thought I was crazy when I started saying it, but I think it's becoming clearer and clearer. If you think about, if I take you, a journey into the past, I'm going to ask you to think about something. Anybody knows what these artifacts are? Anyone knows what these are? If you just type it in the chat, if you know what they are. I think almost everyone knows. Exactly. Thank you, Esther. That's a typewriter. I remember my first year. Thank you, Dibo. My first year in Ife, and we had an assignment to submit, and I had to go. There's a business center. I had to go look for the folks that would type something up. That's a typewriter. Many years ago, decades ago, if you are submitting a resume and you had on your resume, you can type 50 words per minute, 100 words per minute. That was a big deal until this guy showed up on the scene. And guess what? That's no longer a big deal. And so today, if you see somebody that has a resume and they're putting in their resume, I can type 50 words per minute, you're going to ask yourself, is this person okay? Thank you, Richard. Olympia was a good brand then. Absolutely. And so if you see someone that is submitting a resume and on their resume, they have a line that says, I can type 1,000 words per minute. I mean, the person reading that resume will be thinking, is this person okay? And I see the same thing happening over the next coming years, where a lot of jobs will be very different. And I'll talk about the training side of things, and what is required of those jobs will be different. I was having a chat earlier this year, I think in January. I went to visit, when I was dean at the college, went to visit a company in Toronto that donated some software to us. I won't mention their name, but as we were walking along, they had this beautiful office, this huge office, and we were talking to their marketing director, and she said, this was in January, she said that they are no longer hiring folks who do not understand how to use ChatGPT. And she said that most of their content, they're using ChatGPT to help them generate most of their content for marketing. Okay, and so again, think about what Ginny said about 100% of jobs changing as a result of AI. And so what is artificial intelligence? Again, going back to that question that guy asked me, what is artificial intelligence? What is AI? For a long time, but let me ask folks here before I show a couple of screens. When you think about AI, what comes to your mind? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about artificial intelligence?
So if you want to answer the question, you can just raise your hand and I'll unmute you, then you can ask the question, okay? But please raise your hand and I will unmute you so that you can answer the question. Thanks. Anyone? Mr. Patrick, I want to ask, okay, Erica is, Erica, please unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah. When you think about AI, when you think about artificial intelligence, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Efficiency.
Efficiency. Thank you, Erica. Efficiency. Okay. Anybody else?
Please unmute, raise your hand so I can unmute you so you can speak. Anyone? Sumi, please unmute yourself and speak.
Intelligence that is not human.
Okay, thank you. Intelligence, thank you to me. Intelligence that is not human. Somebody said, I think Oluwatosin said speed. Tolu said robot in the chat. Pierre says automation in the chat. Robot, automation, thank you. Maybe one more person. Sorry, I'm a teacher. I like to engage when I speak. Automation, resource, precision.
Olariwaju? Yeah. Nadine, please.
It's machine learning. So machine learning of structured and unstructured data. And then you would have supervised learning and unsupervised learning.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nadine. Machine learning, unstructured and structured data, supervised learning, unsupervised learning. Thank you very much. Smart thinking beyond human. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Wow, this is a very knowledgeable group that I'm engaged with today, and I'm so happy about that. For a long time, for a lot of folks, when they thought about AI, this is what used to come to their mind. Okay, I want to see if anyone. I want to see how old this group is. Anyone remember this guy? Yeah, this is the okay.
Terminator.
Absolutely, Terminator. I'll be back. I'll be back. And so for a lot of folks, when they thought about AI for a long time, before ChatGPT came on scene, they always thought about some of these end of the world movies, robots taking over. And for some folks, when they think about artificial intelligence, they're thinking about their jobs. I've been in meetings where the first question folks are asking me is my job in trouble? Do you think I'm going to lose my jobs? For some folks, when they think about artificial intelligence, they're also thinking about ethics. They're thinking about ethics. They're asking, okay, what data are you using to train these guys? Who gave you the right to use information about myself? And we're going to cover a whole spectrum of stuff during the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. Some folks, when they think about AI, they think about the end of the human race. The late Stephen Hawking made a statement, and this guy is a very, 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 very smart guy. He said that this was many years ago. He's late now, and he's made a statement that the development of full AI could spell the end of the human race. I'm a sci-fi guy. I like to watch sci-fi movie, and I know some of you on this call too like sci-fi movies. If you remember, there's a movie, an Avenger movie called Ultron. Okay, and I remember one day I was thinking, as I got deeper and deeper into my research around AI and kept speaking, I remembered that movie. And in that movie, he had a machine, Ultron, was giving one command, save the planet, keep the planet safe. And then Ultron came up with this brilliant idea that the best way to keep the planet safe is to get rid of all human beings. And that was like, and that was the core of that movie, the Avengers movie. And they were trying to kill Ultron because Ultron was out to save the planet. But in Ultron's mind, the best way to save the planet is to get rid of humans. And one day I was thinking to myself, I said, oh my God, this could become a reality. And that's very scary. In 2017, Elon Musk made a statement about AI. It was 2017. He said AI is highly likely to destroy humans. And then the next day, his friend, Mark Zuckerberg comes out and says, don't mind that guy. He's pretty irresponsible. He's had too much to drink or eat or something. He's an irresponsible person. But I tell folks that no matter what you think about AI, productivity, efficiency, robots, somebody asked me, do you believe AI can take over? I'm going to come back to that question at the end of my slide, because the goal is to get us having these conversations. But no matter what you think about AI, you cannot ignore it. Cannot. To ignore it is to, it will be detriment not just to your career, but also to, I believe, to one's ability to work and live well in our society. I had a guy, I was speaking in Ottawa, I think 3 or 4 years ago. I had a guy come up to me and he said, Patrick, I'm very scared about this AI stuff. What can I do so that nobody has access to my data? They don't know anything about me. They can't use my data. And I told him, I said, well, it's simple. Go and find a forest to live in Make sure that you are self-sufficient. You can eat your own food. You can make your own food, and you have no cell phone, and you live your life and die in a remote area that nobody has access to. And so we cannot ignore AI. I mean, most of all, if you have a cell phone, guess what? You already have an AI application that is being leveraged or used in that cell phone. Most of us, I have a cell phone, most times I use my face as a way to log into my cell phone. Okay, that's facial recognition. That's already AI in play. We've heard about self-driving cars, an example. That's AI in play already. Self-driving trucks, that's already in play as I speak to you. If you have a Gmail, most of you have seen this where you have these smart responses that are recommended by Gmail when a mail comes in. That's a recommender system. That's AI. That's already in play. For most email clients like Gmail, if you're typing something, there are these smart completes that are recommending how you may want to complete that sentence in an email. Again, that's AI in play. If you think about Amazon, for most of us that buy stuff on Amazon, if you go on Amazon to buy one thing, before you check out, Amazon says, hey, don't go yet. All your buddies that bought this stuff also bought this other stuff, and then you end up buying other things in addition to what you intended to buy. That's a recommender system. I remember I used to teach my students how to build it. That's a recommender system in place. And that recommender system generates billions and billions of dollars in hundreds of billions of dollars for Amazon. Just being able to recommend to a client, to a customer, that they should pay attention to one product because they bought another product. Being able to monitor customer behavior and based on how they behave, recommend things that they may need in the future based on past behavior. That's a recommender system. Amazon already has that in play. For folks that have Netflix, if you go on Netflix and you watch a movie, if you go on Netflix and you watch Star Trek and you sign out, when you come back, what do you see? Recommendations, Star Wars, iRobot. You see sci-fi movies that are similar to the ones that you just watched. That's a recommender system in play, and that's fantastic. I mean, think about it. Netflix has about between 4,000 and 5,000 titles. Think about a world where there was no recommender system, where you had to, each time you want to watch a movie, you had to scroll through thousands and thousands of titles to say, okay, not this one, not this one. Maybe this one, not this one, not this one. And so you scroll through all these titles to pick one movie to watch. And so from a client perspective, from a customer perspective, there are advantages of having these applications or these technologies in place because they can help you make decisions faster, quicker, and help you to be more efficient. But that's not where the story ends. And I'm going to come back to the part 2 of this Netflix conversation. But that's already in play. If you go on LinkedIn and you search, if you're looking for a job, you go on LinkedIn to search for a job, Salesforce administrator or project manager. When you come back again to LinkedIn, they're recommending similar jobs to you. Okay, that's a recommender system in play. Now, can anyone see any common thread in the past 4 slides I've shown you? Any observation from the past 4 slides I've just shown you? Any observation? I'm just curious to know.
Requires people.
Anything you observe? I've just shown you 4 slides. Anything you observe? I'm just curious to know. Okay, tools we all use. Okay, very good. It's automated. Very good. Very good. Maybe one more person, and then I'll move on. Okay, thank you, Michael. Predictive AI. Okay, so if you think about, I've shown you a couple of slides. This slide here, smart responses, smart complete, Amazon. The one thing you notice is they're all using the same underlying technology, recommender systems, recommender system, recommender system. And so one of the things you realize with AI is you have the same underlying technology being used across multiple industries. Okay, and so if you think about being able to recommend to a customer, to a client, hey, you've done A, B, C, D in the past. Why not do X, Y, Z? Because other people that did A, B, C also did X, Y, Z. And you see how you can integrate a recommender system into almost every single customer application because customers want to make better decisions faster. Okay. And so this is already in play. You have robot scrubbers, okay? Being able to go around, scrub, clean up the malls and even help with understanding what's missing from the shelf. That's already in play. In manufacturing, in the past, people used to do what I call reactive maintenance, where you run to repair stuff when after it has damaged or shut down or can no longer operate at optimal. But with AI today, you can have what I call predictive maintenance, where before a problem goes wrong, you're able to predict what may happen, where it may happen, and come up with a corrective option or solutions even before the problem happens. That's already in play. Schools are already using AI for personalized learning, and this was far back as 2019. This is already happening today. In nursing, in the health sector, AI is already being used. This was far back as 2018. If you look at the date on this article, 2018, AI is already being used in the medical field to detect cancers, cancerous cells, to detect diseases, tumors, even better than well-trained professionals. That's already in play today. In the social services, social workers are already using AI to help with decision making. That's already in play today. Okay, let me talk about RPAs. Anybody here know what RPAs are? Anybody here? Apart from, I think I know Topwell knows. So, anyone here? RPAs. Okay, I'll talk about RPAs. So I see Pierre and David. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. RPAs are very cool. And so if you think about, for folks who know how to use Excel, which I think most people do, Excel has this functionality called a macro. Okay, so with Excel macro, you go into Excel. I think I have an Excel open somewhere on my screen. You go into Excel, you type a couple of things, 2 equal to, let's say you go in Excel, every day you type, equal to, let's say you have this cell here, 2, 5, and every day all you do in Excel equal to this cell here plus this cell here, enter, okay? That's what you do every day. You come in here, you type 2, 5 here equal to H4 plus H5. Now with Excel macro, okay, for those of us, most of us know this, Excel macro, you can actually record that activity where you're able to